Hello, Chipmunk and Chipette fans. My name is Grandy Tamias, the speculative evolved species of upright walking chipmunk, and before I start, I want to apologize for the lack of Alvin and the Chipmunks content for the past few months. I haven't had a lot of time to keep up with new episodes of the CGI series, and as many of you may have noticed, I wanted to get a lot of Jurassic World stuff out of the way, though not many of you seem to be interested in that. Anyway, today's topic will be, do Brittany, Jeanette, and Eleanor live with Miss Miller in the CGI series? So, if you're familiar with the original incarnation of the Chipettes from the 1983 Alvin and the Chipmunks series, you may know that, like the boys, they had their own legal guardian, in their case, Miss Beatrice Miller. This wasn't always the case, though, but that's a story for another time. All you need to know is that Miss Miller's association with the Chipettes is a detail that this incarnation of the group would become well known for. However, in the live-action films, Miss Miller does not exist, and the Chipettes instead lived with the Sevilles at the end of the Squeakquel up to the beginning of Road Chip, at which point they left and presumably made a living of their own. But since Dave never adopted them, we don't know if they ever took on a last name or what it would have been. In the CGI series, Miss Miller would finally return, but mostly as a semi-frequent background character, with only a handful of occasions where she is relevant to the plot. Many fans assumed that her return to the franchise meant that she would be the legal guardian of the Chipettes again, but they rarely ever interact with her. This has led to a lot of confusion on what their relationship is in the CGI continuity. So today, I'm going to go over the evidence and potentially answer the question of whether or not the Chipettes live with Miss Miller and what their relationship with her is. Unlike the 80s series, the Chipettes of the CGI series have not been given an origin story yet. But in the first season, we do get an origin for their treehouse. In it, we learn that the Chipettes, like in the movie continuity, used to live with the Sevilles. We don't know how long they had been living with the Sevilles or where they came from before then, nor do we know exactly how long ago the flashback takes place relative to the present events of the episode. They don't appear to be any younger in the flashback, which means either A, this flashback is recent enough that it couldn't have taken place more than 1 or 2 years before the present setting, or, the much more likely option in my opinion, B, the animation studio wasn't able to create new models for younger versions of the Chipmunks and Chipettes. And depending on the time difference, the physical changes to the characters may have been too minute to be worth making new models for anyway. So what does the treehouse have to do with Miss Miller? Nothing. But the tree it's in, and more specifically the property that tree is on, does matter. The tree has always been located in Miss Miller's yard, which is right next to the Seville residence. But as we learned from the Treehouse episode, their next-door neighbor used to be Mr. Crabble, the episode's main antagonist. At the end of the episode, Jeanette says that Mr. Crabble moved to the desert, so we can assume that Miss Miller moved in after those flashback events and became the new owner of the property, which includes the tree that the Chipettes would eventually live in. That seems like pretty strong evidence that the Chipettes do live with her, on top of already having her last name. Speaking of which, it was first mentioned in the episode Jeanette's Secret Garden, and by multiple later episodes, that the Chipettes do have the last name of Miller. But as I said, the Chipettes are rarely ever seen interacting with Beatrice Miller, and their lack of a family-like relationship is perhaps most apparent in the episode The Great Chipmunk Detective. When Eleanor offers to solve the case of Miss Miller's missing carpet cleaner, she tells her, "You may not know this about me, but I'm like a legit spy." That doesn't seem like a sentence that one of the boys would say to Dave. Not the spy part, I mean knowing someone part. Just the way Eleanor says it, it doesn't seem like it would make much sense in the context of a parent and child, adopted or otherwise. You'd have to watch the scene in the episode yourself to get what I mean, but from the context clues that I got, Eleanor, and likely Brittany and Jeanette as well, just treat Miss Miller as a regular neighbor. And that's not to mention other instances that you'd expect Miss Miller to be present for if she were a mother figure to the Chipettes. Like when Jeanette and Brittany both had birthday episodes, and when they went to summer camp and space camp, neither of which she was there to watch them leave for. In fact, the Chipettes don't seem like they even need a parent figure in their lives the way that the Chipmunks do. Like the live-action Chipettes in Road Chip, they're very capable of living on their own, save for the occasional amenities from the Sevilles, like doing laundry at their house, as mentioned in the episode The Gift. All Miss Miller provides is the right for the Chipettes to reside on a portion of her property, but they don't live with her in the sense that they get together often and know each other very well. And I think this living arrangement makes sense. They're independent enough that they don't need to be adopted into a human family, but since there probably aren't any areas of land in Santa Barbara that are set aside specifically for chipmunk-sized houses, they had to have their own house built, but on an area of land that they share with a human. So now the question isn't so much do the Chipettes live with Miss Miller, but rather why do the Chipettes have Miller as their last name? Well, I think I already answered it. They share a property that's under the name Miller, so they needed to take on a name that identifies them to a place where they live. And from there, I guess the name just stuck for them. Who knows if they ever had a last name to begin with, or took on the Seville name at any point, but hopefully we get an origin story episode to clear up some of those questions, as well as an origin for the Chipmunks before the series is over. Feel free to let me know in the comments what you think. Do the Chipettes live with Miss Miller? What's their relationship with her? And why do they share her last name? If you want to help other interested people find this content, please consider leaving a like, subscribing, and sharing this video. And if you want more elaboration videos about Alvin and the Chipmunks, check out my channel where I have almost 40 already, plus retrospectives on most of the Chipmunk films and other miscellaneous videos about things related to the franchise. And if you want to suggest topics for future elaboration videos, let me know in the comments, on my Discord server, or on Twitter at GrandyTamias. Links will be in the description. With all that said, I hope you enjoyed, have a nice day, and thank you for your time.